Hi, it's the 7th of the 11th, in 2023, my husband's 72nd birthday. 72nd, did I say that? Look up the psalm for today if you're that way inclined, and you'll see it's a wonderful prophecy for the return of the King. And we all know who that is. Well, I do anyway. Okay, and I'm hoping to help you find out. I want to talk about, and some will remember a video I did where and it's got a picture of Trump and Napoleon, how I compared Trump and Napoleon. They both, how Napoleon wanted to do what Trump has done, and that was establish Israel as a state. But back in his day, so this was from David Flynn collection, and it says here, Napoleon may have realised his ambitions for Palestine, though not without prophetic significance, were premature in the timeline of God. Okay. Although he may have even anticipated the prediction that the King of the North would meet with defeat between the sea and the Holy Hill, in his failure to take Acre, Napoleon was still resolute in his plan to create a Jewish state. In February 1807, through the destruction of Jerusalem through Napoleon's aid, the ancient Sanhedrin was opened. This judicial body had not been in existence since the destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70. The purpose was to set in motion the eventual framework of a Jewish state with Napoleon's aid from within Europe. However, there were some scholars of the ancient prophets that saw folly in this venture. The former ministers of the Interior, Count Chaptal, wrote in his memoirs, Souvenirs, that he witnessed an argument at a dinner he was attending with Napoleon, Cardinal Joseph Fischke, and the Archbishop of Lyons. The cardinal was also Napoleon's maternal uncle. At the time that Napoleon had brought together the Jews for the Sanhedrin in Paris, I attended one day at his dinner where I was witness to an astounding exchange. Let's quote. Cardinal Fesch rushed into the room with a very worried air about him, and that struck the emperor. "What is the matter?" he said. "What I have is easy to understand," said the cardinal. "And why?" retorted the emperor. "Do you not know," answered the cardinal, "that the scriptures foretell the end of the world when the Jews are recognized as constituting a nation?" And I and the guests were inclined to laugh, but the emperor changed tone and seemed worried. He rose from the table, went into his study with the cardinal, where he remained conversing for over an hour. The next day, the Sanhedrin was dissolved. Okay, so we all know who has fulfilled this prophecy, who and not only moved the embassy to Jerusalem, thereby making Jerusalem the capital of the Jewish state, but also actually announcing the Jewish people were a nation. Okay, so enough said of that. But of course, so that is where we're at, and we have the same guilty ones trying to make out it never happened, and that they're still in control. So here I want to just show this to you. I found amazing stuff in Second Address today, which I'll read. But first of all, I want to read this, because with what is happening over in Israel at the moment, those same people involved are trying to say that the Bible does not state that Israel will never be a nation until the Messiah returns, because they know if they admit that, then they also have to admit what I've been telling you for quite a few years now, and that is Trump is Messiah ben David. So this here I just want, so this, but this is one of the verses that they use. So this is in, does Isaiah 11, 1 to 12 say the Torah forbids a Jewish state? When asked which verse in the Torah forbids a Jewish state, Nutre Carter use a verse from Isaiah. In this verse, the Torah describes how the Messiah will bring the Jewish exiles back to Israel. Now, this is what I have said for a long time. A royal scepter. Okay, this is why, it's prophesied that there will be two Messiahs. One will come, I mean, you all know that. One will come, and that was Jesus as the suffering servant, dying for the sins of mankind. Okay, that happened. But the scribes, and these are the same people that we're talking about, have twisted the scriptures to not only get us to worship that man, Jesus, as God, taking the adoration away from God the Father, but have also convinced us that he was coming back on the clouds as a man to earth, which of course, can you imagine anything more ridiculous than the God of the universe coming and actually living in a house on earth? Especially when, even just as Jesus, he's been sitting at the right hand of the Father. So I want to just go over this particular scripture, which I have pointed out before. It says, a royal scepter, I have to use my thingy so you see, a royal scepter, okay, so a royal scepter will emerge from the stock of Jesse. Okay, so you know what a royal scepter is? A royal scepter is the, the scepter of authority. So the royal scepter will emerge from the stock of Jesse. Okay, so we know that Jesse was, I think, the grandfather of Jesus, or the great-great-grandfather. He was King David's father, and he was just a very poor man. So, people could interpret this as saying that this relates to Jesus, but I would say, that it relates to King David. But I would say that no, so it says a royal scepter will emerge from the stock of Jesse. So the stock of Jesse is not Jesse himself. The stock is what he has created. The stock of Jesse, that there is talking about King David, the stock, right? And then from the stock of Jesse, King David, a sapling will sprout from his roots. Okay, so that sapling where have I got? So a royal scepter will emerge from the stock of Jesse. So the royal scepter is this from the stock. So this is the scepter is Jesus. We know that, and the stock of Jesse is King David, and a sapling will sprout from his roots. So the sapling that sprouts from the roots of Jesus, and that is where I believe we are now, and that Donald Trump is the sapling, because you know that Jesus couldn't just be a sapling, could he? The Spirit of God will rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and power, and the Spirit of knowledge and fear of God. And it shall come to pass on that day that the Lord will once again acquire the rest of his people. He will gather the dispersed of Israel, and the scattered of Judah he will gather from the four corners of the earth. Okay, so I'm not going to go on. This is just, you can see this is, Netanyahu trying to to justify what they're doing when, in fact, what they are trying to argue against is actually the truth, that Jesus, as 2 Esdras says here, the Lord says this, I led forth a people to whom I gave commandments, but they were unwilling to listen, and they ignored my advice. The mother who bore them says to them, go, children, because I am widowed and abandoned. I brought you up with joy, but I will send you away with mourning and sadness, because you have sinned in the presence of the Lord and have done bad things in his sight. But now, what will I do for you? I am a widow and abandoned by my children. Go, children, and seek mercy from the Lord, for I am left all alone. I call upon you, Father, concerning the mother of those who were unwilling to keep your covenant. Throw them into confusion and their mother into ruin. May they leave no descendants, but be scattered among the nations. May their names be wiped out from the earth because they despised my covenant. Okay, so here we have it. And behind me is Matthew. This is a painting that I did. Sorry for you guys who don't know, I can't see my screen, so I have to do all sorts of crazy things to see if I'm go in and out, in and out, in and out. My poor old thingy. So this is a vision that I had, quite a few years ago, and this prophesies the scepter. This prophesies, the bright morning star. And this is what Jesus said, "O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, killing the prophets and stoning those who are sent to you. How often I would have gathered your children together as a hen gathers her brood under her wings, and you would not. Behold, your house is forsaken and desolate. For I tell you, you will not see me again until you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." So, of course, that is what we have been waiting for forever, for the Jewish nation to accept Messiah. But it hasn't happened. And so I now want to just take you to your part in it, and how this is second address again, and just go through what I have read before to prove who Donald Trump is, and that the teaching that you've been given that Messiah is God is wrong. That Messiah just means a deliverer, that Moses was a Messiah, Cyrus was a Messiah, anyone that comes to help and deliver, God's people is a Messiah. And Donald Trump is Messiah ben David, the conquering king. The peaceful, loving, pacifist Jesus could not come back and do the things that are required now, as God just, as you'll see in Psalm 72, God comes, to destroy all his enemies. And it's not going to be pretty, I tell you. And as it says, Jerusalem, Jesus says, you won't see me again until, you say blessed. They're going to be surrounded. Any one of you who actually read the Bible knows the prophecies of what is going to happen to Jerusalem. And unfortunately, they've got away with a lot of things because they've confused Jerusalem, Israel, and Jewish nation. But remember what Jesus said, you call yourself Jews, but you are of the synagogue of Satan. Get back from me, you evildoers. So, we've got to keep in mind who Israel is. And Israel, compared to Jacob was, the unbelieving man, the unbelieving people. And it was only when he struggled with God, which of course in itself, indicates that he really believed in God. It wasn't just a matter of following the laws and doing all the good things. He actually believed, the righteousness and the truth of God enough that he fought with an angel, the angel of the Lord, all night. And so thereby it was his faith that caused him to become Israel. And that's who they're talking about now. When we're talking about the Lord said this to Ezra. This is God's church as his people. Okay. There it is there. Announce to my people that I have prepared a feast for them, and I will give them the kingdom of Jerusalem, which I was about to give to Israel. I will take Israel's glory for them and give to them the eternal dwelling place I had prepared for Israel. The tree of life will provide them with fragrant ointment, and they won't labour or grow tired. Ask and you will receive. Ask for yourselves just a few days so that your days may be shortened. Already my kingdom is prepared to come, so be watchful in spirit. You remember Jesus said, unless those days were shortened, no man could survive. So here, ask and you'll receive. Ask for yourselves just a few days so that your days may be shortened. I call heaven and earth as my witnesses. I have dismissed evil and created good because I live, say the Lord. Okay, what else should I go? And then we get down here. Some of you may have watched the I, Ezra, saw on Mount Zion a great crowd which I couldn't number. They were all praising the Lord together with songs. So this is also repeated in Revelation with the 144,000 on the mountain with the Lamb in their midst. Now I did a video the other day speculating that this young man in their midst was a tall young man standing above all the rest. He placed crowns on each of their heads, and they were further honoured. I began to wonder, and I asked an angel, "Who are these people?" The angel answered me, "These are the ones who took off the mortal garment and put on them the immortal, and confessed the name of God. Now they are being crowned and are receiving palms." I said, so that's all through through Isaiah. I said to the angel, "Who is that young man who gives them crowns and palms?" The angel answered, "That is God's Son, whom they confessed in the mortal world." I began to praise and celebrate the Lord. The angel said to me, "Go announce to his people how many wonders the Lord God has shown me." So if we now go to, I wanted to take you through the list of the presidents. So what I found in Second Esdras today, as I read the list of the presidents, with reference to what Esdras talks about when this king comes, when this man who becomes Messiah comes as a king, and he taxes, so he's accusing these other eagle wings. Now we all know who the eagle is, I hope. So I will see if I can just go to Second Esdras. So it's the Second Esdras 12:13. Second Esdras. Okay, so you can all look this up. And what struck me today was when reading the history of some of the presidents, I realised, because the thing that didn't make sense to me, it says the eagle you saw rising from the sea. So Second Esdras 12:1. While the lion was saying these words to the eagle, well, I think we know who the lion is, and saw that the head that had prevailed disappeared. Okay, and saw that the head that had prevailed disappeared, and the two wings that had gone over to it rose up so that they might rule. Okay, but their rule was weak and chaotic. Okay, so now what does that sound like? While the lion was saying these words to the eagle, I wonder if I can go up there. So the eagle, as I said to you yesterday, he said to me, "Here is the interpretation of your vision. The eagle you saw rising from the sea represents the fourth kingdom in the vision seen by your brother Daniel, but he was not given the interpretation which I am now giving you, or who have already given you. The days are coming when the earth will be under," start at 4, will be under, we'll start at, botheration. The rule, will be under an empire more terrible than any before. And that was what I realised today. So, okay, so can you see those words now? While the lion was saying these words to the eagle, I looked and saw that the head that had prevailed had disappeared, and the two wings that had gone over... Oh, botheration. So I should have been... I need to go to 11. Blame this Bible. It's you can't find any numbers in it. On the second night, I had a dream. I saw an eagle with 12 feathered wings and 3 heads rising up from the sea. As I looked, it spread its wings over the whole earth, and all the winds of heaven blew towards it, and the clouds gathered around it. Out of its wings grew opposing wings. These became small, tiny wings. Okay, that's interesting in itself. The wings that didn't go along with the plans of the great head were then become tiny, small wings. Its heads were at rest. The middle head was larger than the other heads, but it was also at rest with them. You know, and I really saw this when I actually looked up some of the presidents who had not become part of the new, the new thing, the new monster that had come out of the wars, the empire, the peacemakers, and they were, two of them. One was called Warren Harding. He was from 1921 to 23, and the other one was Calvin Coolidge from 25 to 29, and both of them are, they just say, really, bad things, just saying that they were totally, useless and, all the rest of it. So it sounds very much about like what's going on with who, because he doesn't play their game. I kept looking and saw the eagle flying with its wings to rule over the earth and over those who lived on the earth. And this is what you'll see with the Roosevelt onwards from McKinley. McKinley was the president who, was part of the Spanish War. But obviously he wasn't a warmonger. Sorry, I have to get up and have a look and see because I forget. Where am I? Bloomin' old thing. He was, I believe, taken out, because when America became, when it became this empire, then everything changed, and its lust, could never be fulfilled. Just wanted more and more power. And those presidents who didn't go along with it, I'm sure, just like JFK, they didn't get to live very long. So I'll just try and keep it here with the words and not get too... I saw how everything under heaven was made to submit to it, and no one opposed it, not a single creature that lives on the earth. I looked and saw the eagle rise on its talons and call out to its wings, saying, "Don't all watch together. Let each one sleep in its place and take turns watching. But the heads will be kept for the end." Okay, so the heads will be kept for the end. So it's 3 heads? I looked and saw that the voice didn't come from its heads, but from the middle of its body. Okay, so that's saying that those people, the heads, didn't actually have power on their own, that there was something inside. While it was I counted its opposing wings, and there were 8 of them. A wing arose on the right side, and it ruled over the whole earth. And while it was ruling, it came to an end and disappeared, so that its place vanished. The next one rose up and ruled, and it held sway for a long time. While it was exercising its rule, it came to its end, so that it disappeared like the previous one. Then a voice rang out, saying to this wing, "Listen, you who have held sway over the earth all this time, I announce this to you before you begin to disappear. No one after you will hold sway as long a time. not even half as long. Okay, a third ring raised up. So the longest president here is Roosevelt, and it's confusing because there's two Roosevelts. So Theodore. Okay, Theodore Roosevelt. He became president after McKinley was assassinated. And then we have Franklin Roosevelt, and he was the 32nd president. And it says the second, it says here the second to come, I haven't actually come across it, will have come to the throne, will have the longest reign of all. A third wing raised itself up, and it also exercised rulership like the previous ones, and it too disappeared. And so it happened to each of the wings in turn to come to power and then never to be seen again. I looked, and indeed the wings that followed on the right side also rose up in time so that they too might rule, but some of those who came to power disappeared immediately, while others of them rose up but didn't succeed in establishing their rule. After this I looked again, and the 12 wings of the two little wings had disappeared, and the 12 wings and two of the little wings had disappeared. Nothing remained of the body of the eagle except the 3 heads that were at rest and the 6 little wings. I looked and noticed that 2 of the 6 little wings were set apart and remained under the head on the right side, but 4 remained in their place. I watched as these little wings plotted to rise up and take power. One was raised up, but it immediately disappeared. And then a second, but this one disappeared more quickly than the previous one. I saw that the 2 that were left plotting among themselves that they too should rule. And while they were making their plans, one of the heads that had been at rest, the one in the middle, woke up. This one was bigger than the other 2 heads. I saw how it formed a partnership with the other 2 heads, and then how the head turned with those that were with it, and it ate the 2 little wings that had planned to rule. Moreover, this head gained power over the whole earth and dominated those who lived on it, inflicting great distress. It had greater power over the whole world than all the wings that had gone before. After this, I watched as the middle head, just like the wings, suddenly disappeared. There were 2 heads left, however, which also ruled over the earth and over those who lived in it. As I looked and watched as the head on the right side devoured one on the left. I heard a voice saying to me, "Look in front of you and consider what you see." I looked and saw something like a lion being roused, roaring out of the forest. I heard how he spoke in a human voice and said to the eagle, "Listen, listen, you, and I will speak to you. The Most High says to you, aren't you the last of the 4 beasts that I made to rule in my world so that I might bring about the end of my times through them? You are the 4th that has conquered all the beasts that came before you, ruling over the whole world with much terror and over the whole world with harsh oppression. You have lived in the world with deceit for so long. You judge the earth, but not in truth. For you have oppressed the meek and injured those who caused you no unrest. You hated those who spoke the truth and loved liars. You destroyed the dwellings of those who bore fruit. You destroyed the dwellings of those who bore fruit and tore down the walls of those who had done you no harm. Your insolence has ascended to the Most High, and your pride to the Mighty One. The Most High has received his time. The Most High has reviewed his times. Look, they are finished, and his ages are complete. Therefore, eagle, you must utterly vanish, you and your terrifying wings, your dreadful little wings and your evil heads. and your dreadful talons and all your worthless body. Then the whole earth will be refreshed and restored, set free from your violence, and will hope for the judgment and mercy of him who made it. So many of you know, that is what my painting of the lion, on me, the naked woman on top of the lion, and standing over the Grand Canyon, and that is where we're at. So this is what I have actually written about that second address. The days are coming when the world will be ruled by an empire more terrible than any before. So that's 2 Ezra 12:13. It'll be ruled by 12 kings, one after another. The 3 heads, the greatest, will die in agony on his bed. 2 of them will come and go just before the middle of the period. And so I have gone through this and found that, take you back again. Okay. So the half of this, so if we started here with McKinley, that was 1901 at the time of the Spanish War. So from 1901 to 2023 is 125. I've actually counted it from 1898, 125 years. So half of 125 years is 62 years. And at that stage, it says here, 2 will come and go just before the middle period. So that is these 2 here, Warren Harding, 1921 to 23, and Calvin Coolidge, 1923 to 29. And if you look up their history, you'll find that they obviously did not go along with the plan because they've been humiliated afterwards. And where we are now, it says 2 of them will come and go just before the middle of the period, and then it was said that 4 will be kept back. Obama, Bush, Clinton and Carter are the 4 that will be kept back till the end. It says here, this one's much easier to read. The empire will come under the 8 kings whose reigns will be trivial and short-lived. 2 of them will come and go just before the middle of the period. 4 will be kept back until shortly before its end, and 2 will be left until the end itself. Well, we still have 3, don't we? We've still got Bush. Is Carter still alive? I think he is too. We've still got the 4, so we've still got a little while to go. But here it says here, as for the greatest head which you saw disappear, it signifies one of the kings who will die in his bed, but in great agony. So I don't know how many of you know and have seen the Bush funeral and the letters that were passed to the guests there, which brought looks of absolute horror and shock to everybody. And what was in them? So here we have Mrs. Pence was the lucky first. And we haven't seen her, have we, since before the election?
What were they talking about? America watching nations come into some
Revelation. Okay, I'm sure you've all seen it. If not, go look it up. Just what was in the envelope, and the last one here, it says, "As for the lion which you saw coming from the forest, roused from sleep and roaring, which you heard addressing the eagle, taxing it with its wicked deeds and words, this is the Messiah, whom the Most High has kept back until the end. He will address those rulers, taxing them openly with their sins, their crimes, and their defiance. He will bring them alive to judgment. He will convict them and destroy them, but he will be merciful to my people that remain, all who have been kept safe in my land. He will set them free and give them gladness until the final day of judgment comes, about which I told you at the beginning." So, here also, I just wanted you to see this. So this just relates to my O Jerusalem again. Numbers 24:17. "I see him, but not now. I behold him, but not near. A star will come forth from Jacob." Okay. "And a scepter will arise from Israel. He will crush the skulls of Moab and strike down all the sons of Sheth." Psalm 2:6. "I have installed my king on Zion, upon my holy mountain. Gilead is mine, and Manasseh is mine. Ephraim is my helmet, Judah my scepter. May he rule from sea to sea, and from the Euphrates to the end of the earth." All right, I see him, but not now. I behold him, but not near. A star will come forth from Jacob. Okay, the star is Jesus. Why? Because when Jesus came, Israel had not come to be, the Jews were still under the law. It was only with Jesus that the true Israel became, when all nations who believe in Jesus became, all people, who believed in Jesus became the new Israel, as the original Jacob showed by his faith, then the new Israel became from Jesus. So I see him now. I see him, but not now. I behold him, but not near. A star will rise forth from Jacob. And that's the star in my painting, the bright morning star. "And a scepter will arise from Israel." Donald Trump is the scepter because he comes from faith. He comes from what Jesus created. Jesus brought about, just as Melania, praised God and said the Our Father, which of course Jesus gave us, proving that he was from God and he was part of the new Israel. A scepter will arise from Israel. He will crush the skulls of Moab and strike down all the sons of Sheth. Well, that's where we're at now, and we will soon find out who all the true sons of Moab are and the sons of Sheth. I'm not going to speculate. I'll leave it up to you. So I hope that made a little bit of sense. It didn't quite go the way I wanted, but it's pretty difficult. But anyway, I'm just here to testify that the king, unwelcome to the inhabitants of the earth, succeeds to the throne. And I would say again. So here it is. Second address, look it up. 5:6. "Trees will drip blood, stones will speak, nations will be in confusion, and the courses of the stars will be changed. A king unwelcome to the inhabitants of the earth will succeed to the throne." Okay, God bless you all in Jesus' name, and I hope you're well and stay that way. Look up. The Lord is here.